Hi, it's WRTV's Ray Steele. I hope you like this video. In fact, I hope you will click that like button down there and click the subscribe button too so you don't miss the new stuff. Or you can click the subscribe button at the end of this video. Really appreciate it.
It's week number 2 in earnest of the special session of the legislature. Abortion restrictions, inflation relief on the table, and so are our political insiders. Democrat Brian Gaddie, Republican Whitley Yates joining us this morning. Thanks to both of you for being here. Let's just jump right into what is happening now. Senate Bill 1, abortion restrictions, passing this past Saturday. It did pass, although kind of narrowly, with the bare minimum number of votes. And Whitley, let's start with you because not everyone is happy about this bill the way it is, particularly amongst the Republican supermajority.
So there is, as I stated before, a contrasting view on what we should be doing for Hoosiers and how we should be advocating for the life of Hoosiers. And so what you're going to see is varying different viewpoints, even within the same party, on the spectrum of what we should be doing, how far the bill should go, how far does it go. You saw some amendments that did not get passed during the committee meeting. And so now it's going to go to the House, and hopefully, and I am hopeful that what they're going to be able to do is come up with something that helps all Hoosiers.
Brian, is the Democrats' message going to be right now? Because what we've heard from the official line from most of the Democratic Party is about the extremes, in their words, of this legislation as it is. Because when we went in, Senate Bill 1 had exceptions for victims of rape and incest and to preserve the life of the mother. Those restrictions were narrowed by amendment. And of course, we've already been told by House Speaker Todd Houston that there will be more changes made to the bill in the House, though we don't know exactly what those changes are as of yet.
Well, really, the Republicans are divided. I mean, you have Republicans that are against any exceptions at all, and there's Republicans that are for exceptions. And we Democrats just want the abortion laws of our state to remain as is. Why? Because that's what the majority of Hoosiers want. If you look at the polls, most Hoosiers support a woman's right to choose. Most Hoosiers are opposed to the draconian proposals that are being put forward by the state Republicans, who I believe their chains being pulled by the Right to Life organization, Indiana Right to Life. And they're not listening to the needs and the wants of Hoosier voters. And really, I would say bluntly, I call it, you know this, Ray, I nickname it the Turn Indiana Blue Act. You've heard me say that before, because if they keep pushing this issue too hard and they go too far, there's a good chance that a lot of these donut counties that surround Marion County, that surround Indianapolis, could start voting Democrat. And that could make us have an opportunity to start winning statewide.
We'll have to see about that in November. But Whitley, what about that polling? Because there is an internal poll, and we don't know all of the specifics of this internal poll that Republicans commissioned ahead of the special session. But from what we've seen from various media leaks, it does appear to show that most Hoosiers, or at least a majority of Hoosiers, do favor some exceptions. Now, we also know now that polling on the abortion issue is more nuanced than perhaps we originally thought. Yes, there might be 65-70% of Hoosiers who favor some exceptions, but the degree of those exceptions, again, vary almost Hoosier to Hoosier.
Absolutely. So it's interesting when you see the representative of how the state feels varying on this issue, when you see the representation that you have at the State House that varies on this issue, they are very symbolic of each other. I think that overall, Indiana is a pro-life state, and that is something that I can say vehemently. Now, how we enact legislation to abide by what that pro-life means is up in the air right now, and it's up in the air to our legislature. Some people know and feel in their hearts that there should be exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother, as well as any type of genetic anomalies. And so you see that coming through in the release of some of the statements from state lawmakers. However, some state lawmakers have said, I can't pick or choose. If we're going to be pro-life, we need to be pro-life all the way. What I am hopeful to see is not just pro-life legislation, but also pro-livelihood legislation, which would be legislation that protects the life of that child once it's born. wraparound services that increase the life and protect the life of that child and the life of the mother. So we can't just be pro-life without also being pro-livelihood and providing resources that help to keep Indiana a pro-life state.
Brian, I want to ask you a question, and your answer is probably going to be different than every Democrat. But this is a question that was asked of most of the Democratic senators who were testifying against Senate Bill 1 last week before it passed. And that is, what would be the line that Democrats support as to when abortion should be illegal? I don't know if they're looking for a week figure as far as gestation, as far as pregnancy. What would be the exceptions that Democrats would support or would agree to? And I know you seem to be in favor of the way it is now, which I believe is up to 22 weeks. Abortion is legal in most instances in Indiana. What would be that line for you? And how should Democrats address that question when it inevitably comes up again?
Well, I personally think the law should stay the way they are, but at the same time, if we could craft a compromise with our moderate Republican friends, the 12 to 15 weeks, I could go along with that, because I do believe compromise is still an acceptable word in politics. I know that too often our politics gets too partisan, and we Democrats, we Republicans go at it. And at some point, you have to try to work out a compromise. And I think if we could somehow craft a compromise where it goes to a 12 to 15 week ban, but abortion still stays in place, with the exceptions of rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I hope that our Hoosier Democrats in the Senate and the House can work with our moderate Republican friends to try to craft that type of compromise. I know there are still moderate Republicans. I know that's hard to believe, but there's still some of them. And hopefully together we could stitch together a coalition and be able to put that forward to have that legislation passed and put it on Governor Holcomb's desk for him to sign it.
Worried about this bill as it is are the major hospital groups, major medical groups here in Indiana, the Indiana State Hospital Association, the Indiana State Medical Association, IU Health, all critical of the way the bill is currently worded when it comes to, as some put it, interfering with the doctor-patient relationship, Whitley. And even Senator Sue Glick, the Republican sponsor of the bill in the Senate, had some of those worries herself, even though she ultimately voted for the bill to move out of the Senate and over to the House. Question for you, and again, not that you speak for all Republicans, but the question for Republicans, what is wrong with the current doctor-patient relationship to where the doctor and the mother could make whatever that best decision is jointly without outside interference?
I think what we have and what we have seen specifically in Indiana, specifically more recently, is that sometimes when these decisions are made, the repercussions of these decisions outweigh the decision. And when I say that, when I think about what we saw when Curtis Hill had to go and get all of those aborted babies that were in a doctor's home here in the state of Indiana, that he was maybe hoarding or keeping for whatever reason, when we watched Netflix documentaries about some of the things that are happening between doctors and patients, doctors inseminating women with their own semen here in the state of Indiana, there needs to be a way to step in cases, or in case something has gone wrong, or there is some type of issue when it comes to that relationship. How we do that is very critical, and there are intricacies involved within the healthcare system. But I do believe that both Ms. Glick, as well as these health and hospital corporations that are worried about the language, need to definitely be meeting with legislators and advocating for what they believe would be beneficial for Hoosiers, as they are subject matter experts when it comes to healthcare.
Brian, lastly on this issue, before we move to inflation relief, you have stated, and other Democrats have stated, that you thought if the bill went too far, that this could turn into another RFRA, a reference to the Religious Freedom Restoration Act fight from several years ago. However, as of right now, large businesses, the larger employers in Indiana, have not stepped into this debate. They have not offered any comment one way or the other. Don't know if they are waiting to see what ultimately happens, but if they don't step in and they don't say anything, it seems to be difficult to make the argument that this is another RFRA, that this is going to automatically turn off businesses and automatically turn off prospective employees from coming to Indiana and wanting to live and work here.
Well, a lot of small and mid-sized businesses are speaking out on this issue. And that's a big concern I have as well as a Democrat who's also pro-business. I know there are pro-business Democrats. We do exist. But my concern is that this could really have a chilling effect on our business climate in our state, where you could have a lot of tech companies, a lot of companies that want women to have equal access to reproductive health care. They may not come to Indiana because of the draconian laws we might pass to restrict a woman's right to choose. That could hurt our business climate. We have one of the best business climates in the country. And that's been Democrats and Republicans working together. And it's been that way for many decades. So I'm concerned not just of the fact that women are going to lose their reproductive rights. I'm also concerned about the impact it could have, the deleterious impact it could have on our business climate here in the state.
Let's talk about inflation relief. That bill passed, well, actually bills passed both the House and Senate, but they were vastly different bills. Now, the bill that's going to the Senate, Whitley, is the one that contains the $225 direct payments that Governor Holcomb has been calling for. Some critics, both Democrat and Republican, and some independent economists have said that might actually contribute more to inflation if you simply make direct payments to Hoosiers, give them money without increasing the supply of goods that might be in kind of short supply right now, if that is still a thing, even though things seem to be slowly but surely working out on the supply chain. A lot of Senate Republicans have a problem with direct payments. It would seem that there's as much disagreement on this issue as there is on the abortion issue.
Yeah, we've seen tons of contrast in the State House from last session, and I don't believe that this session is going to be any different. I think the governor's mindset that this is the fairest, fastest way to give direct relief to Hoosiers, and because we've been fiscally responsible, because we have been able to save, balance our budget, and pay all of our bills, we have this surplus that we are able to give back directly to Hoosiers. And I think that controlling how they spend that money is kind of part of the problem in the first place. To be honest, in my personal opinion, I think that we are attempting to legislate a DC issue. We're attempting to legislate, our president who has an open checkbook policy and creates these inflationary issues here in Indiana. And we are trying to legislate out of a DC issue. And so there really isn't a win-win when you're trying to do that, when you have a liberal fiscal in the White House.
So, Brian, is this all Joe Biden's fault then?
Our liberal fiscal has created millions of jobs, many more than the former guy. So
and yet we're in a recession.
No, we're not.
The
economists have not declared it officially a recession. So
no,
until they do, we're not in a recession.
Our economy said it's a recession.
The job market doesn't say so. Look at all the millions of jobs that President Biden has created. And not to mention he's created jobs and he put out Ayman al-Zawahiri and he sent him to hell over the weekend. So he's not only is he creating jobs, he's killing terrorists
too. We still have a labor shortage. You can say we're not in a recession, but the numbers say we are in a recession. It doesn't matter how many jobs are created if you don't have people to fill those jobs, because we're paying people to stay at home and be complacent. We need to stimulate the economy. We don't need to have open checkbook policies, writing checks to other countries, as opposed to focusing on what's happening right here in America, to focus on the relief that tons of Americans need right now. And that's not currently what's happening in the White House. I mean, even in Indiana, this is a trickle-down effect. We had Kamala fly in here for some performative political PR stunt, and that did absolutely nothing, not only to help the issue
Kamala came in and worked with us, our Hoosier Democratic senators,
but not only to help inflation,
and also to help us.
It's all performative, and I'm disappointed. I'm just disappointed. That's all.
Well, let's say it like this, and this is a fact that our economy, President Biden has created more jobs than former President Donald Trump, and I enjoy saying that, former President Donald Trump. And not only has he created more jobs, gas prices are coming down, inflation is starting to get into check, and the so-called red wave you guys were talking about, I don't think it's going to materialize, because everyone knows a wave is always blue. So
you can't have inflation go up 40% and it drops down 10 and you want to be celebrated. You can't be celebrated for the mistakes that you created. We don't do that over here. We don't celebrate mediocrity over here.
All right. President Biden has created more jobs than Donald Trump, and that is.
And yet we have a labor shortage. Should we celebrate?
Nah, we don't have a labor shortage. There are jobs, there are plenty of jobs out there. All you have to do is go out and get one. And President Biden
maybe
created
you
those.
should tell the people that subscribe to the ideologies of your party that there are jobs and opportunities available. So go ahead and grab one.
Okay. Democrats love to work just like Republicans. So.
Well, unfortunately,
that's an old canard that Democrats don't like to work. Hey, my father was a union man, and I knew no one that worked harder than my dad. So
my father is a union man currently in Kokomo with Chrysler. So I come from a hardworking family, but we do have a labor shortage. And a supply chain shortage. There are a lot of shortages that are happening right now that we should be focused on, which is why this bill in Indiana that gives direct payments to Hoosiers is important.
We have a shortage of time, unfortunately, with our insiders right now, but we always appreciate their time. Whitley Yates for the Republicans, Brian Gaddie for the Democrats. Always good to see y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.